Of course, it is understood that grief is the price we pay for love, and the measure of the depth of the grief is the love that we have felt. And scant consolation is indeed when grief comes. They say it's impossible to conceive of enlightenment in the unenlightened mind, and only when the grief itself arrives did I experience aspects of grief that I couldn't have anticipated. It's been a time where a few people that I love have died, and it feels like it's sort of moving closer actually. Someone I knew and cared about somewhat, someone I'd spent a lot of time with and cared about, and now my dear friend Martino, dead. Not suddenly, but after 5, 6, 7 years of incremental, slow brain tumours. But the long prelude did nothing to prepare me for the pain of his passing and feeling suddenly remote and stranded, and that the transition between him being a person that I could communicate, be with, connect to a person who exists maybe on planes that I am unable to access in ways that I can measure, ascertain, receive, understand in this body, in this life. We can say, can't we, there is oneness. We can say, can't we, that no matter is being created or destroyed. It merely permutates, alters and changes, and consciousness on some level must have an energetic value, so it's merely moving and transitioning. But when you've been anchored and living in the material world, and I am a material girl, you will have lived a life of attaching materially. We live a life of continually reiterating our connections to people as things, to everything as things, the objectification and commodification of all relationship. When someone goes, I always think, because of the prayer and the meditation, I think, you'll be able to spiritual your way out of this. Something hit me like a wave when I heard that he was dead. And how I feel is that grief and mourning is a process you can't just pass through with phatic and ersatz little judgments and platitudes. It has to be felt and lived by the body. I'm very aware of like grief hijack, like when there's a death, maybe if it's a famous person or whatever, and there's a kind of clamoring for proximity, I suppose, to somehow connect to the drama. I don't know, there's lots of things that happens, doesn't it, in ordinary deaths. You think about when you last saw them, there's a tendency to dramatize. I heard that the best thing is to focus on the people most directly affected, to send them all possible love and support. I heard that they will feel it because it is non-local. Ultimately, love is non-local, and they will feel held by that love. In this instance, I'm not the son or the mother or the sister or the girlfriend or the ex-wife, but oh man, I loved him. It's like one of my teachers, Sandy B, said, now your relationship is different with this person. Once they're dead, your relationship is no longer a material relationship. You can, if you are a secular person, you relate to them through your memory. For all of us, whether we're atheistic or people of faith, we all understand what honor is. We understand that there are codes, invisible, even if we underwrite them with rationalism, i.e. they came from evolutionary psychology, from reciprocal altruism, where the tribe learned to serve one another for the survival of the tribe. But for me, as you know, I believe that all the material world is an expression of subtler energies, and those energies abide, and it's only the limitations of the senses that make this world so vivid and real, and the invisible world, the inverted commas spiritual world, seems somehow secondary, when in fact it is ulterior, underscoring all reality. But when you're feeling that death, God forbid it's like a child, God forbid it's someone that you weren't ready to let go of yet in a relationship. Seems like it's never easy. 80, 85, or in this case, a young man in his 40s. The reminder of how invested we are in impermanence, how connected we are to the impermanent and the transient. Grief is the price we pay for love. So I'm very certain of my love for my dear brother passed over, Martina.